Peace and blessings, family. I'm your brother in the struggle, brother minister alifministries. And today, family, I'm going to address a basic question: why I'm going to vote for Kamala Harris. Okay, first, let me start off by clarifying something. One, I am not a Democrat. I've never in my life been a Democrat. Two, I'm not a Republican. I have never in my life been a Republican. I am what politically you would call a independent, but I don't like to classify myself, so I wouldn't consider myself an independent, but I understand technically, politically, linguistically, I am an independent. But if you ask me personally, I'd be like, I'm a humanitarian. I'm a student follower of the Elijah Muhammad. I believe that law came to person as for Muhammad. I have everyone basically has a worldview. My worldview is a world where we have mutual respect, peace, truth, freedom, justice, and equality. I believe in a world without borders, without organized religions, without governments. Like we're so advanced as a civilization or uncivilization, depending on your position. We look at it like, how would we on earth live without capitalism or socialism or communism or Jesus or Moses and Allah and Buddha and Krishna and whatever? You know what I mean? But the reality of it is, in nature, that which lives, lives. The first law of nature is self-preservation. So we generally socialize and organize ourselves for safety and a perpetuation of our species. All right. Obviously, I'm what you would consider, or most people would consider, a black man. As a black man in the struggle for freedom, justice, and equality, I look at American politics from the position of a descendant of slaves. It's like anything. Now, I mean, it's a whole bunch of crap, and there's some necessity there. There's some things I like there. I use the best parts and discard the rest. You know what I mean? It's the same thing with politicians. I wouldn't vote for a politician just because they were black. And I mean, I voted for President Obama, but I critiqued President Obama. Me personally, my thing was like, my primary reason for voting for Obama was like, hey, as what could he possibly do that white old men hasn't already done for 500 years? Like, I'm at least get a brother a chance. You know what I mean? And it's pretty much basically the same with Kamala Harris. Now, I mean, I'm like, okay, a black woman is running for president. She's not the first. There's been like 4 of them. Now, I mean, maybe more that I'm not familiar with. But in fact, I already published a video about the 4 black female candidates that ran for president, you know what I mean, in the past. And it's like, why wouldn't I vote for her in this political climate? Like, I'm like, okay, I got Trump over here, Kamala over here. Now, I mean, those that know me know that I critiqued Trump and Biden. I mean, it's like, in summary, my thing is, at the end of the day, are we going to vote for the big devil, the medium-sized devil, or the little devil? Or to be colloquial in it, now, I mean, is we going to vote for the big devil, the little devil, or the small devil? Because there are black politicians that simply don't have the power of other politicians. They don't have the backing of corporations. the lobbying dollars. You know what I mean? In American politics, the truth and reality of it is you have the electoral college, you have big businesses, you have organized communities, and people vote in blocks. You know what I mean? And black folks, we're struggling. You know what I mean? You know, unlike everybody else, like be like the Chinese. No, you can't compare black people in America to the Chinese so-called Americans, or the Jewish so-called Americans, or the Italian so-called Americans, or the Jamaican so-called Americans, what have you, because we really literally are the only people on earth that suffered chattel slavery. We're not saying we're the only people that suffered slavery. A lot of people suffered slavery, but we are the only ones on the face of this planet that went through chattel slavery, meaning that, you know, and other forms of slavery, like those of you, I've been in the ministry for over 40 years. Those of you that read your Bible or your Quran, you know that Yusuf or Joseph, I mean, was falsely charged, arrested, put in prison. He came out of prison and he became the vice president of his nation. Now, I mean, you know, the Romans enslaved white folks and black folks. It didn't make no difference to them, you know, but you had slaves that could like fight and win their freedom back. You had slaves that can temporarily serve until they paid their debts, and then they were free to go, what have you. But in America, America was unique in the sense that they had a hell of a cause, different and distinct from even the German Holocaust. The German Holocaust, even when they put the Jews in concentration camps, those Jews knew their own language. They knew Yahweh. They knew their own God. They had a culture. They understood that they ate kosher food. Their very nutrition was based on their nationality. You know what I mean? Same thing with Muslim slaves. You know what I mean? They understood, just like the Jews had their kosher food, Muslims had halal food. They knew Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They understood the power of Arabia, the power of the Arabic language. Jews had the Torah, they had the Holy Quran, whatever. But the so-called American Negroes, we literally didn't know our names, our flag, our God, which country we came from in Africa, what have you. Our culture, everything was destroyed. Now, I mean, if I had a son, my son was born a slave. If I had a daughter, my daughter was born a slave. You know what I mean? We didn't have rights in the court. We couldn't articulate or argue our rights in the U.S. Supreme Court. The U.S. Supreme Court was like, yo, the black folks, y'all don't have no rights that the white man is bound to recognize or respect in the court of law. You're not citizens. I mean, so our sojourn and struggles in America has been and is still going to be a struggle. Now, I mean, like, we're struggling for human rights. Now, I mean, and I'm an advocate of peace, truth, freedom, justice, and equality. I struggle for human rights. Now, I mean, at the end of the day, everyone came from some black man and some black woman. I mean, you know, we are the original people on the face of this planet. So me looking at Kamala, I see a lot of stuff, like weird stuff, truthful stuff, exaggerated stuff, slanderous stuff. Now, I mean, you know, you gotta be real careful with social media. Like, one of the things I seen was like, they was like, oh, she slept her way to the top. You know what I mean? I have personal experience with people that dealt with her. You know what I mean? A close friend of mine, a fellow minister, in fact, from California, born and raised, you know, he's like, oh, out there, she's, you know what I mean? She's like this, that, and the other. He basically explaining that back in the day, she was like in the house. You know what I mean? She's on the side of them white folks, like locking brothers and sisters up, throwing away the key. You know what I mean? And I didn't really have no reason to like question the validity of what he was explaining to me. You know what I mean? I took it on face value only because of where it came from. I know the brother wouldn't waste his time trying to lie to me about something that really wasn't even important. You know what I mean? But when I look at it from a political perspective, I had to take and like, okay, I'm hearing so many contradictory stories. Let me do my own mathematics. Let me analyze, deputize, and scrutinize this. Let me do my political research, if you will. So I want to share with y'all some little basic stuff, you know, my analysis on the overall thing. So I'm looking at the whole picture. Again, I'm not voting for Kamala because she's a black woman, because she's a Democrat. I'm voting for her because in my personal, I'm an independent. I believe in the FGJE, or the Freedom, Justice, and Equality Party. You know what I mean? The Nation of Islam is my platform, if you will. I recognize Master Fard Muhammad, the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, the Honorable Brother Minister Farrakhan, the Honorable Brother Minister Salas Muhammad, Father-in-law, the Pan-African, the revolutionaries, the prisoners of war, the poor, the oppressed. Now, I mean, you know, that's my thing. I mean, but I don't believe in trying to force my thinking on anyone else. And I mean, we can dialogue, I can share, I can try to educate and propagate the struggle for you. I mean, but you have to do your own research. You have to come to your own conclusions. Now, I mean, some of you are going to vote for Trump. I personally have no problem with that. There's some things Republicans say and do I agree with. There's some things that they say and do I don't agree with. There's some things Democrats say and do I agree with. Some things they say and do I don't agree with. The system itself, I really have a problem with this concept of electoral colleges. I'm from the hood. I'm from North Philadelphia. So when you come to me and tell me, oh, you got to vote, you got to do this, that, and the other, you should vote. And it's like, you know, it's like you'd be like, well, somebody like Hillary Clinton, for example, would be like, Hillary Clinton got 100 votes. Donald Trump got 95 votes. But Donald Trump is president. I'm like, you're confusing me. Like, wait a minute. I thought you said this is a democracy, that every vote counts and whatever. You told me to vote. It was 99 votes. I voted. I was the 100th vote. I said, okay, I'm going to vote for Hillary. You say she won, but there's this footnote, this house rule that the electoral college come in and say, well, we actually decide who's going to be the actual president. It's like, wait a minute. I'm from the streets. This sounds like some con game, some hustling stuff. Now you sound like the mafia, like the boss of bosses, but we're all bosses, but you're the boss of bosses. It's like, no, you're the boss. I mean, it's like, come on, like, let's call it what it is. It's like our votes count or they don't count. If the electoral college could do this, that, and the other, that means this is not a republic. This is not a government of the people, by the people, for the people. It's a government of big corporations. I mean, the 1%, we call them the 10%, the rich, the slave makers of the poor. They are the ones that's calling the shots behind the scenes. And from me seeing just within the last like 72 hours, Kamala Harris, like, it's like she's shooting straight to the stars. It's like, who has the juice, the money, the power, the control of social media to do this but the 10%? Now, I mean, so some stuff to me is like, okay, I see what's going on here. Now, I mean, but you got to pick and choose your battles in life. Now, I mean, some stuff is worth fighting for. Some stuff is a waste of time. You need to channel your energies elsewhere. In this political atmosphere, will Trump be the president of the United States? I don't know. Would Kamala be the president? I don't know. I mean, they might get somebody else and slip them in there for all I know. But right now, at this junction, in the struggle and weighing it all out, looking at both sides, looking at the big picture, I'm like, big devil, medium-sized devil, little devil, I'm going to go with Kamala. I mean, I don't think she's some supreme angel. I mean, I don't think she's holier than thou. I don't think she's perfect. She has a lot of stuff that she said that I was impressed with. Like I was like, that she's a little, she's like the rapper E. She's like a pit bull in a skirt. I think Trump and them scared of her personally. I think they're gonna have some problems. Like Trump might have been able to crush the old man. I mean, but I think they really like, yo, this girl going to be a problem. Now, I mean, you know, of course they going to throw the tablecloth on her back, put some salt on her, eat her back out. Now, I mean, so I seen all these videos. They like, oh, she slept her way to the top and this, that, and the other. And it's like, I don't get into people's personal business like that. I don't get into gossip or what have you. But politically, I looked at it and it's like I'm looking at it like, well, from the facts versus the fantasy. When you look at the reality of the situation, it's like, okay, that's your opinion. From what I see, she didn't sleep her way to the top by any means. Let's look at some of this. All right, so Kamala D.V. Harris. For some reason, I'm still not too sure how they classify. Like I heard a lot of different, I ain't gonna say a lot. I heard some people saying she's not a black woman. You know, as a student follower of Elijah Muhammad, we believe in a phenotype and a genotype. Masfar Muhammad looks like a white guy. I mean, he has a pure black father, an Arab, and a pure white Jewish mother. He's what we call a black man in every sense of the word, but some black people don't look black. Now, I mean, there's some black people that looks white. I mean, you know, so, you know, the way DNA operates, genetics, you know what I mean? We got 16 different shades of color in the original man. We produce 4 shades of black, 4 shades of brown, 4 shades of yellow, 4 shades of red. We could produce an albino baby or a pure white Caucasian baby from an Asian. Know what I mean? So some people had me confused, like saying she's not black. Looking at her, obviously she's a black woman, a goddess in my opinion. Know what I mean? And it's like, but I was confused as far as like some people saying she's Asian. Then when I'm looking at the math and the science of it, it's like, is she black and Indian? Is she so-called African American and Native American, Indian, what have you? Know what I mean? So that's not important to me personally. So I didn't dig too deep into that because I'm like, if she's half black and half Asian, Asians are black. Black is black. If she's part Indian, Indians are black. Puerto Ricans are black. I mean, you know, Hawaiians are black. So it depends on your worldview. I mean, and we can waste our time arguing worldviews all day. I don't argue worldviews or religions, you know what I mean, things of that nature there. We can get into the spiritual science of anything. All right, so my friend that told me, you know, she basically is considered like a super cop out California back in the day anyway. When I look at the math, I'm like, okay, she actually was born in Oakland, California. All right, she was born in 1964, I believe it was. All right, I was born in 1965. So basically, in just rudiment elementary political analysis, she was born in a area and in a time when black folks were struggling financially, politically, socially, what have you. I mean, like, she literally seen the gang banging. I mean, she lived, when she turned on the news as a little girl and a teenager and as a young woman, she see young black men busting their guns, the drug situation, the use of drugs, the selling of drugs, the corruption of police. It's just all this stuff chaos. I'm from North Philly. It's like you from North Philly. You know what happens in the hood. You know what I mean? It's like people struggling to survive. So it's going to be chaotic. You know what I mean? It's going to be chaotic, and I understand the black woman's nature and her desire to seek peace and safety and to nurture and defend and things of that nature there. Some sisters, they be like, they want to help the hood in their way. Some people do it through religion. Some people do it through hustling. Some people do it through sports, whatever. Now, I mean, some people do it above ground, underground, side ground, whatever. Now, I mean, it's all in the struggle. Now, I mean, so I don't get into judging our people. Now, I mean, the message teaches us judging is for the law. If you must judge, let them judge themselves. Now, I mean, so as Jesus put it, I'm not trying to take a speck out of the eye and have a beam in my own eye. Now, I mean, so I personally can get it that she like psychologically was like, okay, let me try to change things by joining the system. You know what I mean? Like Malcolm X said, you can't put a duck in the oven and expect a chicken to come out. But some people think they can go into the imperialist system and change it from within. It's pros and cons on both sides of that type of dialectic struggle. Now, I mean, of course, when she got in, she definitely took the position of being tough on gun violence and drug sales and things of that nature there. So I'm pretty sure, I agree with my friend from California that I'm pretty sure there's a lot of brothers and sisters that got caught up in that wave of be tough on crime. Now, I mean, I remember years ago, decades ago, literally, when they was like 3 strikes you out, and I'm looking at the news, and some brother I personally didn't know, but they basically was like, he stole a slice of pizza, so he got life without parole, and he was in jail for years for stealing that slice of pizza. So that type of legislation in Pennsylvania, I know personal family and friends that because of President Bill Clinton and them stopping the Post-Conviction Relief Act of 1993, and they basically were saying like, well, if you don't have no legal stuff in within a year, you basically get time barred. That was a horrific law that was passed that literally stopped black men and black women in particular from even having access to the courts. It stripped them of their constitutional rights to access to the courts. As a minister, I personally fought for various brothers and sisters. I'm very happy to say that a few of them are physically home right now because I filed that legal stuff for them. I mean, and argued those things, and it took them, some of them, 1 to 10 years before they finally got some justice and was able to get out that situation. Now, I mean, so like legally, what they call a writ of habeas corpus or the great writ is like if you're in the prison cell and the guards ain't feeding you, you had the ability to at least send a letter to the king. Like, yo, listen, man, I know you put me in here for whatever amount of time, but I'm not going to be able to serve the sentence because I'm going to die because they not even feed me. They torture me down this joint, now I mean, whatever. And the king had to answer that. He had the option to be like, okay, well, all right, keep him in there, but feed him. Now I mean, stop beating him up, but whatever. Now I mean, they saying you can't even report the slackness, weakness, and wrongdoing. You can't even tell the king anything. You can't file a writ of habeas corpus. You don't have access to the courts no more. So that was a real horrific law. So Kamala Harris is going to have serious problems running a national campaign. I see a lot of people like, oh, she can't win. She could never, Trump going to win. I'm like, I don't know who's going to win, but from what I see, is like she's being backed by some big money. I mean, like I ain't talking about she raised 100 million. I'm talking real money. I'm saying like there are people that have interest in who's president of the United States from an international perspective, a importing and exporting, from a war perspective. I mean, you know, from policies and things of that nature there. So everything is real. I mean, personally, I would love to see a sister become the president of the United States. I think that that would be more inspirational as a child from a black mother. I mean, you know, it's like, damn, a black woman, you know, like, I personally didn't think Obama was going to win. Now, I mean, I looked at it like, oh, they going to kill Obama before he get in there. But he got in there. I mean, you know, so you never really know with politics. Now, I mean, personally, politically, I back Bernie Sanders. Now, I mean, I knew that the old man was too radical for America. He was really like pushing like what they call a socialist agenda. And it was, to me, it was more like a better, he was like the little devil out of the medium and big devil. So I was like, okay, you know, because a lot of people don't realize you have the choice. Like, you don't have to vote at all. You ain't got to vote for nobody. There's some black people that never vote in that life, never will vote. Hey, do you? But as far as me educate myself in this thing, now I mean, listening to like stuff from the messenger, he told us if we cast our vote, cast your vote wisely. Down Balaj Muhammad said a message to the black man in America in 1965 that he personally voted for a black politician, you know, and he said there's a second politician that he would vote for. He said, but I'm not going to mention his name at this time, you know. So when Obama was a senator, you know, he was with the Honorable Minister Farrakhan. Now, I mean, when he was a young boy, he on the porch reading the Final Call newspaper. And when you read his biography, you see like he was around free. He had knowledge of self. He still has knowledge of self, you know. But you can't overtly just push anything. I mean, if you plan on winning anyway. So they didn't publish those pictures of him with Minister Farrakhan. His Christian radical pastor, you know, almost disrupted his whole thing. You see what they did with Jesse Jackson and the Jaime thing. So the powers that be got a lot of money, a lot of juice. The media can build you up or tear you straight down at any time. That's all in the struggle. Now, I mean, so let's look at some of this. Because I was curious as to, they were saying Kamala slept away. All I knew was she had a white Jewish husband. I personally, to me, it was none of my business what the sister was doing before her husband, with her husband. I don't get into all that. I may believe in personally that the black man should marry the black woman, but I don't believe in dictatorships. I don't believe in forced faith. I don't believe in oppression, discrimination. I believe we're in the United States of America. You have the right to fall in love with whoever you want. If I seen a black woman with a white man, I personally wouldn't say anything but how you doing and keep it moving. Now, I mean, if I seen a black man with a white woman, I'd be like, how you doing? Peace. Keep it like I've been married over 30 years to a black woman. This I mean, but it's like, I would take it as an insult that somebody would get into me and my wife business. I'd be like, yo, I'll be taking my glasses off. Like, what I mean, like you out of pocket. So I wouldn't disrespect the sister like that and nothing like that. So I don't even get into none of that. But somebody was asking me personally, be like, yes, I believe in nature, that, you know, it's odd that a shark would fall in love with a dolphin, that a cat would go play with the dog, or a black crow would be in the nest with a white seagull. that would be strange to me and nature. But nature teaches me scientifically there's always exceptions. I mean, there's always some form of integration in nature. This is how the perpetuation of species takes place in the universe. Hydrogen bonds with helium, and I mean, we get a sun. I mean, so new things do come about. Master Muhammad had a black father and a white mother. You talking about integration? That's integration all day. To produce the leader and savior, the Mahdi, the Messiah, the Christ of the entire holy nation of Islam, the lost found nation of Islam here in the wilderness of North America. So I just raise all that as a spiritual science to let you understand. Like, I don't take this stuff personal. Nah, I've got probably 100 suits upstairs, probably like 100 bow ties, and probably 50 white shirts or whatever. So I could get clean. I could get formal, put on my little suit and bow tie. You know what I mean? I got my FOI uniform, my fezzes and different hats. I'm personally more casual, laid back. I don't care how I say it. My thing is what I say that's relevant to me. Now, I mean, as the Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught us in Theology of Time in 1972, he said, I'm not trying to give you some fancy preaching. I'm trying to give you some simple teaching. Now, I mean, so we're trying to give you information over inspiration. Most people, I ain't gonna say most, yes, I am. Most people like inspiration over information. Now, I mean, they really don't care too much about facts, science, reality. They like that spooky goobly goo. Now, I mean, like, oh, the aliens from this planet, this, that. Oh, it's the end of the world. Oh, Kamala Harris this. Oh, Biden this, Trump this. And I mean, like Public Enemy said, don't believe the hype. Now, I mean, so I just did a little basic, short, elementary research on the sister Kamala. Like, okay, let me, like, because I wasn't sure. They started getting into Montel Williams, and one white lady from the Republican Party is like, oh, she's slept with a married man and all this other stuff. So I'm like, I don't like getting into all that when I just listen to, I didn't even research. I just listened to other, and it's some young white kid. He had a real good little short podcast type thing he did, but he presented some facts that I didn't really care about, but he explained it, clarified it for me. He's like, yo, the guys they talking about, him and his wife was separated from each other for over 10 years. And he started dating Kamala, and they wasn't sneaking. They publicly was out for the paparazzi in restaurants, whatever. So it's like inconsequential in the universal order of things, so it's like you're gonna always have your detractors, your haters, things of that nature there. But when I looked at her life, I was like, oh, this sister definitely did not sleep her way to the top. I mean, that's like cold disrespect to the black woman. I mean, this sister works hard. I mean, let's look at let's unpack some of these, just some basic stuff. Now remember, she's born in Oakland, California in 1964. All right. So she lived through the Crips, the Bloods, the crack epidemic, police chief Gates, all the racial discrimination. She's seen all that kind of stuff firsthand out there. All right. Despite those circumstances, she graduated from Howard University and in California, and then she went to Hastings College, and she eventually began her law career in the office of the district attorney in Alameda County. All right. She was so good in the DA's office that she eventually got recruited to San Francisco around the year 2003. Then she was so good at that job, she was such a genius, a brainiac, articulate, fly sister in the struggle doing her thing. She had a successful career in law. She got recruited to San Francisco in 2003. Then she eventually got elected as the district attorney of San Francisco. All right. Now, for my brothers and sisters in the belly of the beast who I support and patronize, been with and all that. It's like, it's like NWA, F the police. I mean, so I'm not here trying to defend a district attorney locking up brothers and sisters. I'm here saying, like, in reality, we understand, like, whether she was black or white, a DA job is to lock you up, to prosecute you. That's going to be in the struggle. That don't mean that the DA is always going to be right. There's people that's actually innocent, and there are people that are factually innocent. Know what I mean? But at the end of the day, you don't take that kind of stuff personal. That's strictly business. You can't hate the player, hate the game. I mean, it's institutionalized racism, classism, sexism. It's the American way. Now, I mean, she was in fact elected as the DA of San Francisco. All right. Then she was so good as a district attorney, she eventually got elected as the attorney general of the state of California. That was back in 2010. All right. So now she's the attorney general. Remember, she's not sleeping her way up. She's studying and going to law school, studying law. I mean, she's working her behind off. She's pushing the social agenda for California to be tough on crime and stuff like that. They're tough on gangbangers, tough on drug dealing and drug whatever. Know what I mean? So it's like the hypocrisy of the system is they kidnapped, raped, robbed, and murdered Africans, and when slavery so-called was emancipated, that don't mean free. People in law know that. They was let loose. I mean, they was paroled from slavery, if you will, and they ain't had no money, whatever, and they came up with a 13th Amendment that basically said that in America, any person, slavery is going to basically be illegal, except for any person that has been convicted of a crime. All right, so if you got a felony, like, you legally are a slave in the United States of America in 2024. There's a whole bunch of slaves still in the United States. All right, and when you look at slavery, no reparations, poverty, Kamala's fear of touching that reparations issue, not because she a sellout or she hate black, she pick and choose her battles like any other politician. Like, you're not getting elected if you push that agenda. Now, I mean, that's not her fault. That's our fault. We as a people need to organize and mobilize our own stuff. Now, I mean, it's a lot of stuff. They be like, Project 2025. It's a whole bunch of Project 2025. So this Project 2025 has been out for over hundreds of years in the United States. Look at the Aryan Nation websites. Go on them Ku Klux Klan. They always had them agendas. That's nothing new. That's just one other nonprofit that's articulating the myth of white world supremacy. They trying to hold on to what they got. I mean, I get it. My problem is not that. My problem is like, yo, what happened to Tavis Smiley and them? I remember BET back, they used to have a black agenda. Like, why aren't black folks organizing the Black Project 2025? I mean, like, where's our project? Like, what is we doing financially for healthcare, safety, stopping the violence in the hood, getting out of here, getting reparations, getting housing and healthcare, taking care of our elders and our babies? Now, I mean, why aren't we, as the messenger put it, doing for self? Like why we're not building a nation in a nation? See what I'm saying? So I'm not looking at the devil. I'm looking at the gods. I mean, I'm like, it's like, nah, we ain't praying to no mystery gods. We not sitting up at home waiting for no mystery God to bring us no food. None of that. Now, I mean, black men have to organize, stop being envious and jealous of each other, stop attacking and arguing and fighting and killing each other. And we got to unite and get this agenda together. It's like, yo, imagine all these black billion and millionaires. Imagine all these black geniuses. Like, back in 20, 40 years ago, I used to get the Black Business Directory, 2 big yellow phone books. It was like all the black businesses in the United States that was in there. Now, I mean, and now we got social media, the internet, with all these black business directories online, if you will. So it's like, yo, we got national black doctors, national black lawyers, national black bankers, national black engineers, scientists, chemists, builders, farmers, anything you can imagine that we need, we already have. I mean, it's just that we're so disorganized, so divided. Yaku's law of divide and conquer got us thinking that we can't come together and do something for ourselves. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad told us in his very last book, Our Sayers Arrived, February 26, 1974, he said, our unity is more powerful than atomic or nuclear bombs. He gave us an analogy. He gave us an analogy of like, just as a person will come forward to build a wall, and he or she puts some mortar on a brick and then unites that brick to that mortar, and you set it, you level it. That mortar connects each brick and it solidifies those bricks into a solid wall. Without the mortar, or without the unity, without that bond, that wall will easily fall down. You just push it, the wind and knock it straight down. Know what I mean? But that mortar, that unity, that love for self, that consciousness helps us as a people endure the winds of change. Know what I mean? So our unity is critical in our political, social, and economic survival here in the wilderness of North America. All right, so Kamala Harris, she became the Attorney General, as I said, in 2010. Then she got reelected as the Attorney General in 2014. So she wasn't, when she was a young girl, she's studying, going to school, educating herself, getting good grade point averages, doing all types of volunteer work, trying to help the community, pushing, studying law like Obama was studying law. I mean, like Michelle Obama was studying law. She's a young black, I mean, she that's the path she took. You know what I mean? Some sisters, like, oh, they take a different path. They go to the street, they hustle, they do whatever. Some people go into nursing. Some people go into, they want to become school teachers and educate the youth. Some of them become smart corporate women. Some start their own, but some do hair, some paint, some sisters fix cars. I mean, some join the military. It's like, it's no one thing or one way we supposed to be active in the struggle for freedom, justice, and equality. There is no one atom in our universe. There's countless atoms that mix and bond and do all kinds of things to bring about the universe, the one word. I mean, you need that diversity in order to actually survive. You see what I'm saying? So I have no problem with our people taking a path different from my particular path. Everyone got to, go on their own path. That's just the reality of it. Okay, so eventually by 2016, she won a seat on the Senate. She was the first Black Indian woman as a junior senator, know what I mean? And she served as the United States Senator of California from the years 2017 to 2021. As a senator, she was dominant with the strict gun control. She was like absolutely anti-hood violence. Know what I mean? So brothers and sisters that was on the street side, they like, oh heck no, we don't like her. I wouldn't like her. I mean, you in the street. I mean, you struggling. You don't have the education and the good family and the good home that she grew up in. You coming from a broken home. You in the system where you like, we got drugs and alcohol and violence and all kind of chaos out here. We living in hell. So it's like, I respect and understand both sides. Know what I mean? But I definitely be on the tip, like, just because you're from the streets don't mean that you can't vote for Kamala Harris. I mean, like come on, you be like, you ain't got a problem with Biden or Trump, but you got a problem with, it's like they all politicians. Politics is everything. Now, I mean, they all got their good side and they all got their crap with them. They politicians. Like, I don't expect Kamala to be some holy, honest angel. I mean, some spooky fairy godmother that's going to save the world. Nah, I mean, this world going to keep spinning 1,037 1/3 miles per hour. After she's no longer here, and it was spinning 1,037 1/3 miles per hour before she got here. Know what I mean? So it is what it is with that. Know what I mean? So she had her anti-crime crusade, if you will, because that's how politicians get money. That's how they get reelected. I'm tough on crime and all that kind of stuff. Now, I mean, it may be hypocritical in certain situations, but that's politics. That's not just black politics. That's white politicians. That's Americanism. Okay. But one of the things that surprised me a little bit was she was for the legalization of weed. She pushed the cannabis stuff, like, yo, legalize, federally legalize the sale and use of and the manufacturing of marijuana. So that was something hip for her. And I mean, I'm not saying she smoked weed, whatever. I'm just talking about looking at her agenda. Now, I mean, so she definitely was for, like, oh, let the prisoners out that got weed convictions. My problem is a lot of politicians say that, but when they say that, but we're not saying let them out if they got a violent offense connected to it, or if they had a gun. It's like, come on, if you're selling weed, you're selling weed. If you're going to be caught up in that whole cesspool, you're going to have your gun. You might bust your gun. You might get shot. All that's in the streets. You know what I mean? So, but the like prohibition, the government hypocritically like, oh, you can't drink beer or liquor or whatever. Now they got wine and spirit stores all over the place. They be like, oh, lock up these black people. They selling numbers, whatever. Now they got lottery tickets in every Walmart and major supermarket in the United States of America. So it's a lot of hypocritical crap that them politicians always come with. That's all in it. But she also pushed real strong for health care, which was real good, especially for elders and poor people. And she definitely pushed for tax reform. Know what I mean? So it's some things politically that I like, some stuff I don't like, some stuff I agree with, some stuff I absolutely don't agree with. Know what I mean? Overall, I look at it like she's smart, she's aggressive, a woman, not just a black woman, but females in politics, you better be aggressive. You know what I mean? Like you're dealing with the male species. You better not come in there all timid and quiet and nice and polite and ladylike. It's like, you better be tough. And so she got that aggressive edge that I like. She's very ambitious, smarter than a whip. She's spontaneous. I seen her like take some real powerful white guys and just grind them to dust in debates and stuff. I mean, she put them, when they come before her, they hated it. I mean, so overall, looking at the pros and cons of this political stuff, Kamala Harris, if I was to give her a grade, I would give her a B minus. If somebody asked me, who you gonna vote for, it's none of that business. but publicly, because we family. Ain't nobody know this but us. I mean, I want y'all to know, like, at this point, I don't know what's going to happen a couple of days from now, next week, next 100 days, whatever. But at this point, if it's a choice for me between Donald Trump and the Republican Party and Kamala Harris and the Democratic Party, even though I'm not registered with either one of those parties, politically, I understand that if I sit on the sideline and don't vote, Trump and the Republicans would love that because I'm technically voting Republican like that. I'm in a swing state. I live in Pennsylvania. You know what I mean? It's just a personal overall analysis, and I could be wrong. I'm pretty sure there are Republicans. Oh, listen to this guy. He don't know what he's on. I'm pretty sure there's Democrats and liberals out there that are like, oh, he's just a member of the Nation of Islam. They'll pay them no attention. But me personally, I would be like, I'm a vote for Kamala Harris. I'm a vote Democrat. If she didn't get in, I still would have voted for Biden, even though it's a bunch of stuff with him I never liked. It's just for me personally as a black man, it's like, am I to vote for the big devil, the medium-sized devil, or the little devil? Normally, I'm a vote for the little devil. You know what I mean? So, you take and do your own research, analyze, deputize, and scrutinize the political spectrum, fact check the claims out there, and don't let your spouse or your children or your religion or your brother or your sister or your neighbors decide for you. You decide for yourself. Now, I mean, as the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, and I'll end with this: if you vote, cast your vote wisely. Until then, the struggle continues, family. Peace. Salam Allah. That means peace to the gods, peace to the goddesses.